We'll move to question time, and I'll call Senator Patterson.
Thank you, President. My question is to the Minister representing the Treasurer, Senator Gallagher. This morning, the ABS confirmed that inflation rose to 3.8% in the 12 months to October, an increase from 3.6% in September and higher than forecast. This follows confirmation from the RBA earlier this month that they expect headline inflation to rise to 3.7% and remain high across 2026. Minister, how much more evidence do you need before you admit that the government's policy settings are resulting in higher prices for Australians?
Thank you, Senator Patterson. Minister Gallagher.
Thank you, President. I thank Senator Patterson for the question. And I think if Senator Patterson is concerned at inflation which was flat in the month of October, he would have been absolutely mortified at inflation when they were last in government, which was, of course, headline inflation was 6.1% and climbing. Well, I'm merely drawing comparison to the inflation rate that we inherited when we came to government, which was 6.1%. And climbing at that time. And of course we know it peaked at 8% or so in the December quarter of that year. And yes, inflation is higher than we would like, but it is much, much lower than we inherited. And that is a fact. Not only have we got inflation down, we've seen jobs grow, we've seen unemployment remain historically low, we have got wages moving again. We started to repair the budget and at the same time provided Australians with cost of living relief to assist them when inflation was higher than we would like. All measures, I would point out, that those opposite criticised at the time, many they voted against, and indeed continue to criticise when they talk about expenditure of the budget. Because when they criticise the expenditure of the budget, the decisions we've taken, they are decisions around indexing the pension, making sure that single parenting payment goes up, looking at Commonwealth rent relief, making sure that we're able to provide energy bill relief when electricity prices have been high. All of that, that is what they refer to when they say Labor has spent too much money. What they're saying is Labor has spent too much on you, on your energy bills, on Medicare, on housing.
Thank you, Minister. The time for answering has expired. Senator Patterson, first supplementary.
Thank you, President. Today's ABS release also states electricity costs rose 37.1% in the 12 months to October. Does the minister acknowledge the Albanese government's policy of net zero has totally failed and Australian households and businesses continue to pay higher and higher energy bills?
Thank you, Senator Patterson. Minister Gallagher.
Senator Patterson has been in this place for a while now, so he will of course remember the fact that they had 23 energy policies and couldn't land one of them, that 24 out of 28 coal-fired power stations announced their closure when you were in government, and what was your response? Nothing. Head in the sand, nothing to see here. Let's do nothing. Let's do nothing about creating the energy grid, the energy system that Australians need. Let's fight over climate change internally, which, might I say, continues to this day. Where is Senator Bragg? Got everything he wanted, we hear. Got everything we wanted when they walked away from net zero.
Minister, please resume your seat. Senator Patterson.
President, on direct relevance, I'm not sure what Senator Bragg has to do with a 37.1% increase in electricity prices on your watch. You're in government. You're in government.
Senator Patterson, the minister is being relevant. There's been a lot of interjections, and as you know, the minister is entitled to take interjections, so I suggest that you try and get the left-hand side of the chamber to be quiet. Minister Gallagher.
Thank you. And on energy bills specifically, when we have recognised that there had been price increases, we sought to assist households with energy bill relief and small business with energy bill relief, and those opposite voted against
Thank you, Minister. Senator Patterson, second supplementary.
Thank you, President. Deloitte Access Economics partner Stephen Smith said the Reserve Bank finds itself in the trickiest spot, facing accelerating inflation and softening economic growth. Minister, your out-of-control spending is causing higher inflation, higher interest rates, and we have softening growth. Isn't it now clear that the government has failed to live up to its promise that life will be cheaper under Labor?
Thank you, Senator Patterson. Minister Gallagher.
Thank you. Well, the spending that you criticise, Senator Patterson, are things like investments in paid parental leave, energy bill relief, support for apprentices, support for households to transition and implement batteries, paid pracs for nursing, teaching, social work, midwifery, boosts to Medicare, more choice and support for Australian women when it comes to health care, $20,000 instant asset write-off, our housing programs, our aged care wage increases, our support for early childhood education and care. These are the things that those opposite criticise when they talk about spending. We have repaired the budget. We've delivered 2 surpluses. We've lowered the debt. We've lowered the interest on that debt. And all at the same time, as we fought against you every step of the way, we have introduced all of those measures to help the Australian people.
Thank you, Minister. Just before I come to you, Senator Dowling, I'll draw to the attention of honourable senators the presence in the gallery of the Australian Political Exchange Council's 26th delegation from the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, led by the Honourable Nguyen Tuong Lam. On behalf of all senators, I wish you a more warm welcome to Australia and the Senate in particular. Senator Dowling.
President, my question is to the Minister representing the Treasurer, Senator Gallagher, and continuing the theme of her previous answer. Today, the Australian Bureau of Statistics released new consumer price index figures which showed prices were actually steady in October. Check it out, 0% in October, but ticked up in annual terms. Can the Minister, you should be interested in this, can the Minister update the Senate on the latest economic data and the progress that has been made in the fight against inflation?
Order. Senator Patterson, I've called order twice and you just completely ignored me. So disrespectful. Senator Dowling, had you finished your question? Had you finished your question? Yes. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, President. I thank very much Senator Dowling. It's great to have a respected economist on our side asking the questions around the Albanese government's management of the economy and indeed of the budget. Well, new figures from the ABS today showed that inflation was steady in October but ticked up in annual terms. And as I said in relation, well, it's not an unusual term to use, Senator Ruston, but anyway, as I said in answer to Senator Patterson's question, it is higher than we would like. It is. It is higher than we would like. The flat monthly result in October was driven by falls in electricity and fuel prices. Those opposite may have missed that, and moderation in housing costs. The tick-up in annual terms in part reflects temporary factors such as the timing of state energy rebates and some of those volatile items such as travel prices. But we also recognise that households are still under pressure, and that's why our continued responsible cost of living relief is so important. When you look at the monthly results, and these are important, this is the first month, I think, of the complete monthly CPI figures. We think it is an important change that will help inform decision-making into the future, support the work of both the government and indeed organisations like the Reserve Bank. Headline inflation was flat in the month of October, but up 3.8% in through-the-year terms. Underlying inflation was 3.3% in the 12 months to October. And of course, when we came to office, Senator Dowling, headline inflation was 6.1% and climbing. It peaked in the December quarter of that year, but it is now moderated substantially, which has given the RBA confidence to cut interest rates 3 times this year. Underlying inflation was hovering around 5% when we came to government. It is now much lower than that.
The time for answering has expired. Senator Dowling, first supplementary.
Thank you, President. Look, addressing cost of living pressures is important for all Australians, and the Albanese Labor government is focused on delivering the relief that Australians need. What measures has the government delivered to ease household budgets while strengthening the economy?
Thank you, Senator Dowling. Minister Gallagher.
Thank you, President, and I thank very much the Senator Dowling for the supplementary. Well, we are continuing to roll out real, practical and ongoing help with the cost of living for Australian households. And I would remind those, most of which, I'm trying to think of one those opposite supported. I'm not sure there is one. But when we talk about pay rises for minimum and award wage workers, they now receive a total increase under Labor to over $9,000 a year. Superannuation guarantee being increased to 12%, paid parental leave expanded to 24 weeks, energy bill relief, which continues to flow, $10,000 bonuses for housing apprentices on top of their wages. We've got our home battery scheme, which is proving to be very popular, paid pracs for nursing, teaching, social work and midwifery students, our boost to Medicare, and again that tripling of the bulk billing rate, which came in on the 1st of November, expanding that across the board to help all Australians. More choice, lower cost and higher quality care for Australian women.
Senator McKenzie.
Question is to the Minister representing the Minister for Climate Change.
Oh, beg your pardon. I am so sorry, Senator McKenzie. Sorry, Senator Dowling. Second supplementary.
Oh, yeah. No. No, we're not finished yet.
Order.
There's so much more to talk about.
Order. We just wait for silence, Senator Dowling. Apologies for missing your second sup.
No, it's a good one. The Albanese Labor government is focused on jobs, wages and cost of living relief for Australians. How is the government delivering for Australians and, most importantly, putting people ahead of politics?
Minister Gallagher.
Thank you, President. I'm so glad Senator Dowling got to give that excellent supplementary. When we came to office, real wages were going backwards and had fallen for 5 consecutive quarters. Last week's wages data showed annual real wages have grown for 8 consecutive quarters, the longest run of real wage growth in almost a decade. Since Labor was elected, inflation is down, debt is down, real wages are growing, unemployment remains low and interest rates have fallen 3 times this year. If those opposite had won the election, all the cost of living relief, which we just talked about, would have been on the chopping block. They are the party that wanted higher taxes, remember that? And did everyone enjoy Nikki Sava's piece on the weekend, reading about that? Oh, that was the one that got away. The party who will ever be known as the party of higher taxes, that went to an election arguing for higher taxation. We are the party of lower taxes
thank you, Minister.
and higher
the time has
wages.
now expired. Senator McKenzie. I promise
Big
I've got
surprise,
it right.
the big reveal. My question is to the Minister representing the Minister for Climate Change and Energy, Senator Ayres. On Sunday, the Prime Minister, Minister Wong and Minister Bowen issued a joint media release outlining the details of the formal agreement with Turkey for it to host the COP31 climate conference. The joint media release states, and I quote, "Australia, in partnership with the Pacific Island countries, will set the agenda for pre-COP in the Pacific, preside over pre-COP and fulfil all the operational and logistical responsibilities for pre-COP." Does this mean the Australian taxpayers will be asked to pay for the costs of putting on the pre-COP? And if so, how much has the government budgeted for these expenses?
Thank you, Senator McKenzie. Minister Ayres.
I think it is a good question because it allows me to just spell out, just for a second, in the hope that it might, sink in. I mean, they're not all there. They're not all there, but for those that are, it just happens that I just want to break this to you really slowly. It is in the Australian interest. It is in the interests of Australia and in the interest of Australians for these climate negotiations to be successful. It is in the interests of Australia for Australia's interest to be represented there by our capable and effective Minister for Climate Change and Energy, because it's Australian farmers, Australian industry, regional communities.
Minister Ayres, please resume your seat. Senator McKenzie.
A point of order, Madam President. Relevance. The minister has gone nowhere near the cost of the issues outlined in the joint media release issued by the Prime Minister and Minister Wong.
Thank you, Senator McKenzie. I think Senator Ayres is addressing the media release, but I will continue to listen carefully, and if he doesn't, I'll draw him to the question. Minister Ayres.
Thank you, President. The media release and the Conference of the Parties conference, of course, go to all of these questions. And it's in Australians' interest, Australian farmers, Australian industry, coastal communities, communities in the bush, and of course it's also in the interests of our friends and neighbours in the Pacific, who you lot mock, who you lot make fun of. Your previous leader mocked their interests. We are working with them to deliver in the Australian interest. And today there are representatives of those countries and their churches touring this building.
Senator Mackenzie, I've called order.
Speaking to us directly. In fact, this morning, singing beautifully about their interest, their national interest. That is what is being represented here,
thank you,
and
Minister.
it's absolutely in Australia's
interest.
interest.
Has expired. Senator Mackenzie, first supplementary.
So no idea how much for pre-COP that you've budgeted for. Let's try. The joint statement also states that Australia will be responsible for, and I quote, convening consultations and meetings throughout the year as needed to inform negotiations, including taking on their operational and logistical responsibilities. Minister, will Australian taxpayers have to bear any of the costs associated with preparations and consultations for the COP31 climate conference in Turkey?
Thank you, Senator Mackenzie. Minister Ayres.
Well, what you're talking about, Senator Mackenzie, it strikes me is a good COP. A good COP. Now that is a COP where Australia's interest is represented, because it's in our interest to see, in a measurable way, a plan to reduce emissions.
Minister Ayres, please resume your seat. Minister Wong.
Point of order on the persistent and very loud interjections from Senator Mackenzie.
Thank you. I was going to inform Senator Mackenzie she was being louder than the minister, which is quite a feat. I would ask you not to interject any further, because I want to hear the answer. Minister Ayres, please continue.
I will take that as a personal challenge, President.
No, please don't.
That's a good COP, where our interests are represented. I'll tell you what a bad COP is. A bad COP is what Mr Morrison did last time in his mysterious trip to Glasgow, with almost 100 people clustered around him, pandering to his every whim. He spent half of the time in the United Kingdom on a family history holiday, utterly self-indulgent. These costs will be determined in the normal way.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Mackenzie, second supplementary.
The minister has gone nowhere near answering how much money the Australian public will be on the hook for this decision. Let's try for the third time. Can the government guarantee that Australian taxpayers will not have to cop any of the costs associated with the planning, communication and delivery of the COP31 conference in Turkey? Third time's a charm, Minister. Let's.
Thank you, Senator Mackenzie. Minister Ayres.
Well, the conference in Turkey is a diplomatic triumph for Australia. That's what it is, and the costs for that will be determined in the normal way. In the normal way, you know, Senator Mackenzie.
Minister Ayres, please resume your seat. Senator Mackenzie, I have appealed to you not to call out, not to interject. You've asked your question. I'll listen for the minister's answer. Minister Ayres.
So I've answered in relation to costs for this. I'll tell you the costs that I'm concerned about. Mr Joyce, a former member of the National Party, under you lot, claimed 600 and it's a matter of time, $675,000.
Minister Ayres, please resume your seat. Senator Mackenzie.
Minister has been misrepresenting
what's the point
Barnaby
of order?
Joyce, as if he, who is still a member of the National Party.
Senator Mackenzie. Order. 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 Senator McKenzie, I have asked senators on many times not to use points of order as some sort of way to make a personal statement. If you had stood and asked me to direct the minister back to the question, I would have gladly done so, and I intend to draw the minister back to the question. That would have been an appropriate point of order. Minister Ayres, please go back to the question.
As I say, I've dealt with the question of costs, and I understand that his ambiguous party membership status is a challenge for you. He's in the National Party and out of the National Party. He determines the National Party's policy approach, and now he determines the Liberal Party's policy approach, in and out. The sort of Schrodinger's member for New England, $675,000 he copped in the pocket for being the special envoy.
Thank you,
and he produced two text messages.
Has expired. Senator Faruqi. We have now moved on. I called Senator Faruqi. Senator Faruqi.
Thank you, President. My question is to the Minister representing the Prime Minister. Minister, more than 2 centuries since the violent colonisation of First Nations land, we still remain subjects of a British head of state. The monarchy has hit headlines again in recent weeks over disgraced former Prince Andrew's relationship with child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. A majority of Australians want him removed from the line of succession. 43% of Australians indicated their support for a republic, the highest ever. Your government's former Attorney General, Mark Dreyfus, last week said that it is past time for Australia to break its ties with the monarchy and encourage you all to renew the Republic campaign. Will the government acknowledge the surge in public support for a republic and take steps to cut ties and apron strings with the British monarchy?
Thank you, Senator Faruqi. Minister Wong.
Thank you very much. And if I may, while I'm on my feet, welcome our friends from Vietnam. You're very welcome in Australia. And we're not always like this. Well, actually, in question time we are. So, but we value very much the friendship with your country. Senator Faruqi, I think the position of the Labor Party is well known on this, and our support for a republic is well known. We also have been very clear that that is not something that is a first-order priority for the government in this term. The Prime Minister, I refer you to the Prime Minister's comments.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Faruqi, first supplementary.
Prime Minister Albanese has been a long-term advocate for an Australian republic, and just last week said that an Australian republic is common sense. If that is the case, why did your government get rid of the role of Assistant Minister for Republic?
Thank you, Senator Faruqi. Minister Wong.
I'll refer you to my primary answer.
And Senator Faruqi, second supplementary.
Minister, people in this country are deeply, deeply uncomfortable about Andrew Mountbatten being in the line of succession. I hope you are aware of that. So when is your government going to move to a republic so that there is not even a remote possibility of this happening?
Thank you, Senator Faruqi. Minister Wong.
I think really, again, I refer you to my primary answer.
Senator Darmanin.
Thank you, President. My question is to the Minister representing the Minister for Communications, Senator Farrell. We know social media is having a direct and harmful impact on Australian children, with statistics showing 7 out of 10 kids having witnessed online harm. How will the Albanese Labor government's world-first social media laws help protect our kids from the pervasive pull of social media and give parents across the country peace of mind?
Thank you, Senator Darmanin. Minister Farrell.
Thank you, President, and thank the Senator for her very good question and the great work that she does for the people of her home state, which includes keeping children safe online, is being a challenge, but it is one that the Albanese Labor government makes no apologies for taking on. Delaying access to social media until the age of 16 will protect Australian children at a critical stage of their development. That gives them 3 more years in which to build real-world connections, 3 more years for them to learn who they are before the platforms assume who they are. We have all heard the horrible tragedies that have befallen families throughout Australia. Social media targets children with deadly precision, and it's families that are left to suffer. This government will not stand idly by. We want to be kids. We want kids to be kids, and these laws will help them have a childhood. The Liberal and the Nationals are only focused on themselves and undermining these laws before even they begin on the 10th of December. We, on the other hand, are on the side of parents, not platforms. That's where our focus is. This is a place for social. There is a place for social media, but there's no place for predatory algorithms causing children harm. Social media has a social responsibility, and this government will continue to hold them to account.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Darniman, first supplementary.
Thank you, Minister. We know the Albanese Labor government's social media minimum age laws will be a major adjustment for Australian families, and that is why the government has made a range of resources available before the 10th of December. What impact will the government's world-first online safety reforms have on Australian families and children, and where can they find the latest and most accurate information?
Minister Farrell.
Thank you, President, and thank the Senator for her first supplementary question. Our online safety reforms are about letting kids be kids. We know this is a significant change, and that is why there is a comprehensive package of resources available in the eSafety website. There's been a 1,000% increase in people visiting the website, and I encourage families to take advantage of these resources in the lead-up to the 10th of December. We are not chasing perfection, but we are chasing a meaningful difference. We're using every lever at our disposal to protect our kids and stand behind each family faced with an increasingly scary and dangerous digital environment.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Darniman, second supplementary.
The Albanese Labor government takes the danger of online harm seriously, especially when it comes to those most vulnerable, our kids. Given these world-first online safety laws have been welcomed by Australian parents as a way to protect their children, how much interest have we seen from parents and experts from other countries in these laws?
Thank you, Senator Darniman. Minister Farrell.
Thank you, President, and thanks, Senator, for her second supplementary question. We know the world is looking at the Albanese Labor government decision to protect children online. Our reforms were resoundingly welcomed at the United Nations General Assembly. Just this week, we've seen Malaysia announce its intention to ban social media accounts for under 16-year-olds. Earlier this month, Denmark's government also announced plans to ban access to social media for anybody under 15. We are proud to be leading the world when it comes to protecting our kids online. And we're proud to provide Australian parents and grandparents with yet another tool to protect their children at a time when they are most vulnerable.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Tyrrell.
Thank you, President. My question is for the Minister representing the Treasurer, Senator Gallagher. Australia's economic growth is built on migration. This reliance on migrants, both skilled and unskilled, is not a coincidence. It is the backbone of our community and our economy, yet we still hear the tiresome base-level arguments they are not taking jobs, they are filling gaps, creating new markets and sustaining our entire service economy. Can the government please outline what economic benefits migrants bring to Australia?
Thank you, Senator Tyrrell. Minister Gallagher.
Thank you, President. I thank Senator Tyrrell for the question and for the heads-up that she was to ask a question around Australia's migration settings, policies, and also the economic benefit that comes from having a country that has been enriched and whose economy has been supported by a strong and mainly tripartisan or multi-partisan approach to utilising the skills and capabilities of
Order. Minister, please resume your seat. Order. Order. Across the chamber. Order. Senator McKenzie again. Senator Ayres. Minister, please continue.
Around filling workforce shortages, gaps, increasing the skills available for businesses, driving productivity and innovation, increasing and contributing to significant economic growth, enhancing business and entrepreneurship and increasing consumer demand are all things that support the continuation of a strong sustainable migration policy. And in fact, Senator Tyrrell, you often ask me in this place about questions about healthcare and Medicare when I was repping that portfolio. I think if you acknowledge that that area where we have demand for skills far outstripping the ability to supply those, anyone who goes into a hospital or an aged care facility, or in fact many of those industries that support care across our economy, you will see migrants here who've been brought in under various programs to support the delivery of services to the Australian community. And if you look at doctor shortages, if you look at nursing shortages in allied health, in the care economy more broadly, these jobs are critical to supporting our economy and our economic growth and productivity agenda. And without migrants coming in on a sustainable program, and as we've noticed in the last few years, that the net overseas migration has actually declined.
Thank you, Minister. The time
more
for
than
answering
40%.
has expired. Senator Tyrrell, first supplementary.
Thank you, President. Our ageing demographic means we are critically dependent on new blood and new skills. As we face an ageing population, we will need migration to support our aged care sector and provide quality care. Can the government please outline how essential migrants are to our care sector?
Thank you, Senator Tyrrell. Minister Gallagher.
Thank you, Senator Tyrrell. And I really do appreciate a question here that doesn't seek to demonise migrants coming into this country. It is a refreshing change, I think, and a different approach to the one that has been taken by others in this place. In relation to aged care, it is essential that we are able to staff all of the care requirements that people need, whether that be in their homes or it be in aged care facilities, or for those that are requiring more acute care in the hospital setting. And we know that over the last financial year, 21,000 healthcare workers came into Australia on skilled visas. So that gives you a sense of the magnitude, 21,000. That's obviously to complement the skills of the experienced staff that we have working here as citizens, not on those visa arrangements. But that gives you a sense of the magnitude, and that's going to continue. We know from all the projections that we are going to need to continue to attract migrants in order to help us cover these job opportunities.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Tyrrell, second supplementary.
Thank you, President. So we know for a fact that migration is boosting our economy and is keeping our care sector afloat. Can the government please explain what detriment to the economy a net-zero migration policy for 5 years would cause for our economy, as proposed by One Nation?
Thank you, Senator Tyrrell. Minister Gallagher.
Thank you. Well, it would have a very substantial impact on our economic growth, a negative impact on our economic growth, but it would also, importantly, have a very, very significant effect on the services that Australians seek and need, not only in the care economy, but I have yet to find a business in this country, when I've done roundtables and all the rest of it, that has sought to have a policy such as the one that One Nation are arguing for. If anything, business are arguing for more intake, in particular areas of visa category, in order to fill the very significant shortages there are, whether it be in health and community care, or indeed in construction or in engineering or in IT. All of those businesses would seek further increase in the intake. No one would be arguing for net zero.
Thank you, Minister. I am checking out the lights situation. I'll keep the chamber informed when I get a response. Senator Dean Smith.
You have to get those windmills going.
I'm sorry, Senator Smith. I know you're on your feet. Order. Senator Smith.
Thank you, President. My question is to the Minister representing the Prime Minister, Senator Wong. On Monday—
Order. Senator Smith is on his feet. Senator Watt. Questions need to be asked in silence. Senator Smith.
On Monday, the Labor Premier of New South Wales, Chris Minns, lashed your government's housing record, saying the billions of dollars promised for hitting new home targets offered, quote, zero motivation for the states to reach their housing goals. Minister, why are even your own Labor state colleagues now criticising your housing policies?
Thank you, Senator Smith. Minister Wong.
Thank you, President. Thank you for the question, Senator. And I would hope that the states all of the states would understand, as the federal government does, the importance of all levels of government responding to the need to increase housing supply. That's certainly the way we have approached it, and we will continue to work with state governments, but of course continue to deliver the programs we are delivering. The facts are we know that Australia has had housing affordability challenge growing for some time. We know that this has resulted in many, particularly young, but not only young Australians struggling, but particularly renters and first home buyers. And unlike those opposite who teamed up with the Greens to prevent more investment in Australia's housing supply, we recognise that the Commonwealth does have a role in increasing supply. And increasing supply is the primary way in which you can deal with affordability. There are obviously other measures that the government is seeking to put in place, including the Help to Buy scheme, and I might be wrong, but are they seeking to disallow that as well? Was this outright? Is that what Senator Bragg is doing? In addition, the 5% home deposit scheme. These are all measures that the government is putting in place because we recognise, unlike the government that was in place, of which you were a part, Senator, over 9 years, that we have to work together to do something about housing supply. I'd remind you, Senator, the government has a $43 billion Housing Australia plan. We are investing more than 8 times what the coalition did in a decade. We know that home building is improving, and we will keep working at this over the months and years ahead to deliver more houses for more Australians.
Senator Smith, first supplementary.
Thank you. Minister, the Prime Minister promised to build 1.2 million homes by 2029. So far, every state and territory is on track to miss their housing targets. Minister, is your government still committed to this promise?
Minister Wong.
Thank you, President. And I think the Prime Minister and the Minister have both made clear this is an ambitious goal. We know it is an ambitious goal. We accept that level of ambition is necessary because of the mess that we inherited. I mean, for 9 years, we had so little activity in this sector because those opposite. Well, I'll take the interjection from the acting leader of the opposition. We didn't make the promise. No, that's true. You never made a promise. You never made that promise because you never saw housing as a priority. So you didn't even bother making a promise or setting an ambitious target because you did not regard housing as a priority. Well, we do. And we are up for the challenge of investing money, investing funds, investing resources and working with the states and territories to deliver more houses for more Australians.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Smith, second supplementary.
Thank you. Minister, the government is failing to build houses. In the last financial year, you fell over 60,000 homes short of your target, and unbelievably, new home completions fell by over 3,500 compared to the year prior. Will your government admit your Housing Accord promise is now destined to be broken?
Thank you, Senator Smith. Minister Wong.
Senator Smith, I think I've said in here before we have around 5,000 homes completed under Commonwealth programs, another 25,000 in planning and construction across the HAF and other programs. There's another number which is pretty useful, and that's 373. 373. That is the total number of social and affordable homes built in almost a decade under you. 373. 373. So, yes, Senator, we do take the responsibility of having a higher target than 373 in a decade, and we do that because we on this side understand the importance of housing to people's lives, security and to their future, and we will keep doing what we are doing because we want to deliver more homes for more Australians.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Payman.
Thank you, President. My question is to the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Senator Wong. Yesterday, it was reported that the Trump administration had instructed US embassies in various countries, including Australia, to collect data on migrant crime statistics to address what it calls the human rights implications and public safety impacts of mass migration. Just yesterday, the Senate resolved to reject the immature stunt that Senator Hanson pulled earlier this week and stand with Australia's multicultural communities. In that context, Minister, will this government similarly condemn this hateful and divisive edict from President Trump?
Thank you, Senator Payman. Minister Wong.
President, this government will always make decisions about Australia's policies based on what we believe is best for Australia. We are a pluralist nation. We welcome different races, different religions, different views. That is the position of this government, and I think we have demonstrated it.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Payman, first supplementary.
Minister, you said yesterday that modern-day Australia is very multicultural, and that multicultural Australia is listening closely. It needs to know whether the government of which you are a part will stand against division, whether it comes from an Australian senator or an American president. So I repeat the question. With respect, will this government condemn this hateful and divisive edict from President Trump? Yes or no?
Thank you, Senator Payman. Minister Wong.
Well, we are responsible for Australian policy. We speak for Australia. As I have repeatedly said over a couple of decades of public life, and as this government has repeatedly said, and I think demonstrates by who we are a party that supports our pluralist, multicultural nation. 1 in 2 Australians are born overseas or have a parent born overseas. That is who we are, and we will always defend the principles that I have articulated, including yesterday, as has the Prime Minister.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Payman, second supplementary.
Minister, given the absence of a clear condemnation in your 2 previous responses, can you explain why the government appears to be willing to defend multicultural Australia only when it's politically convenient?
Minister Wong.
I shall try very hard, Senator Payman, out of respect for a fellow senator, not to be deeply and personally offended by that. There are some of us on this side who have defended multiculturalism for all our lives, and we always will.
Thank you, Minister. Senator De Liga.
Thanks very much, President. My question is to the Minister representing the Minister for Climate Change and Energy, Senator Ayres. Twice now, voters have backed the Albanese Labor government's commitment to protect the environment and deliver cheaper and cleaner energy. With our abundant renewable resources and the falling cost of renewable generation, we have the chance to lower emissions while delivering more investment, more good jobs and a more productive economy. How is this government delivering cheaper and cleaner energy, and why is this government prioritising coherent and stable policymaking?
Thank you, Senator De Liga. Senator Ayres.
Just say that today in the electricity system, President, there are 3.8 gigawatts of outages in the coal-fired electricity system. 1,000 of those are planned, 2.8 gigawatts unplanned. In the system that this lot think should be doubled or tripled or whatever the latest sort of policy catastrophe is that it emerges from over there. We are a government that today, when we have representatives from our Pacific partners and their faith groups in the building, catastrophic fire danger in the lower central West Plains, the highest November temperatures in years in Sydney and Brisbane, we are a party that takes climate change and emissions policy seriously. I think those opposite only remember the political embarrassment from 2019 and the bushfire season. We remember the human cost. We remember the social cost, the economic cost, the environmental cost. They just remember the political embarrassment of what happens when you don't have a serious approach to climate, to energy, to climate adaptation and to building an energy system that is in Australia's interests. And, President, our plan to lower emissions will deliver the cheapest possible energy for families and businesses. It's why we've got the Cheaper Home Batteries scheme, cutting power bills already for more than 100,000 households, most of them in our outer suburbs, adding more than 1,000 new households every day. That's what these people want to campaign against. That's why we have the Solar Sharer scheme, giving people and businesses free electricity in the middle of the day.
Thank
there's
you,
plenty
Senator
more,
Ayres.
President.
Senator De Liga, first supplementary.
Thanks, Minister. 2 minutes sure does go quick. The Albanese Labor government's energy policy is delivering the cheapest firmed power available. Renewables backed by gas, batteries and hydro to replace old coal power stations. Why is replacing these unreliable coal power plants a priority for the government?
Thank you, Senator De Liga. Minister Ayres.
Well, when the lights go out, Australians can be confident what the reason is. It's because these old plants, these old coal plants, shut without warning. They shut without warning. And when they shut, these old coal-fired power stations that they love over here and want to invest public money in, unless poor old Senator Bragg gets his sort of Don Quixote tilting at windmills, hopeful campaign up, public money invested in them, sweating these plants for longer. When there's an unplanned outage, which happens every day, what happens? Reliability challenges, but also power prices go up. Power prices go up because what's required is our gas power stations to step in, and that pushes the price of power up. Your plan, your legacy, higher prices, less investment, less generation.
Thank you, Minister Ayres. Senator Order. Order. Senator De Liga, second supplementary.
Thanks, President, and thanks, Minister. The Albanese Labor government is not supporting coal power through the coal capacity investment scheme and is not subsidising or funding new coal power stations. Why is the government not supporting new coal power stations?
Thank you, Senator De Liga. Minister Ayres.
Well, the answer to that, Senator, to that question, it's a very good question, characteristically good question from Senator De Liga. The reason we're not going to be investing taxpayers' money in coal-fired power stations, which is your approach, is because it would make electricity more expensive. It would make electricity more expensive. And poor old Dopey Dan over there, his strategy—
Senator Ruston.
I think, President, you probably know what I'm going to ask the minister to do. Address those in the other place by their correct title.
Thank you, Senator Ayres. I will ask you to withdraw and remind you to address those in the other place by their correct titles.
And which is to sweat the— I withdraw. The member for Wannon's plan to sweat these coal assets, he says, to sweat these coal assets is only mildly less dopey than Senator Canavan's plan, which never eventuated to build a magical, publicly funded power station, coal-fired power station in Collinsville. Not a fence was built. Not a donga was installed. Not a hole was dug. There wasn't even a photo opportunity in that giant boondoggle.
Thank you. Just before I come to you, Senator McDonald, it is obvious there is a power outage today here. It is also in the House, and we are working to try and fix it. If there's any further updates, I'll let the chamber know. Senator McDonald. Order. Senator McDonald is on her feet.
My question is to the Minister representing the Minister for Climate Change and Energy, Senator Ayres. Minister, a CEO of an Australian energy generator told the Australian Energy Council last week that net zero is one of the biggest things Australia is trying to do in such a short space of time, and having no thought, though, detailed plan on how to achieve it. The cost of doing it is probably going to halt the transition when the populists go, hell no, can't afford it. Minister, how high will energy prices get under your net zero plan before Australians do say, as one of our energy sector CEOs put it, hell no, can't afford it?
Thank you, Senator McDonald. Minister Ayres.
Well, this is an extraordinary question, really, to try and find in that organisation's discussions, to try and work your way through to find somebody in the energy sector who actually agrees with the sort of feral wildness that has overtaken the Liberal and National Party on energy policy. The Australian Energy Council, they say, supports an economy-wide interim emissions reduction target as an important step towards achieving net zero. Interim targets, they say, serve to provide certainty to industry and the broader economy about the expected investment pathway. The interim target will be challenging, but that is not a reason to stop trying. Now that is what industry is demanding. That is what industry is demanding. The Australian Industry Group.
Please resume your seat. Senator McDonald.
The minister's obviously trying to find the answer, so I'm turning back to relevance. How high will energy prices get under your net zero plan?
Thank you, Senator McDonald. The minister's being relevant to your question. Minister Ayres, please continue.
Yeah, the question through you, President, was about the Australian Energy Council. And I'm answering it. I'm answering it. It is impossible to find a serious contributor in Australian industry, in the energy sector, in manufacturing, in the business community, who thinks that a preferable position would be a disorderly transition run by the show over here. Now, I understand that the sort of impulse for danger, the impulse for wrecking, the impulse for sort of self-indulgence has overtaken here, but the problem is that the people who pay for your policy self-indulgence are ordinary Australians. When you're self-indulgent about energy policy, ordinary Australians pay.
Thank you, Minister. Senator McDonald, first supplementary.
Minister, since we signed up to net zero, energy prices have skyrocketed nearly 40% and gas prices are up 46%. Minister, have you modelled how much higher energy prices will have to be to reach net zero compared to not doing net zero? And if so, how much higher will energy and gas prices have to be to reach net zero?
Thank you, Senator McDonald. Minister Ayres.
Well, the word "we" in that question is doing a lot of work. It really is. It really is. When you say "we signed up," who's the "we" that we're talking about? It's Mr. Taylor, right? Mr. Taylor, Ms. Lee, Mr. Morrison, all of you, Mr. Joyce, all of you.
Minister
I couldn't be more directly answering the question.
Minister Ayres, please. I'll just wait for silence. Senator McDonald.
Thank you, President. The question is, how much higher will prices get?
That was part of the question, Senator McDonald. There was a preamble and the minister is being directly relevant. Minister.
Now, you know, We say, I'm reminded of Muhammad Ali, who said, "Me, we, all of us," and if only that small moment of policy coherence, could extend its way through. Just imagine what would have happened. Poor old Senator Canavan over there, who's sort of running this.
Ayres, the time for answering has expired. Senator McDonald, second supplementary.
Minister, Australians already can't afford their energy bills. Can you at least tell them how much taxpayer funding will be spent on pre-COP in the Pacific?
Minister Ayres. Again, Senator McKenzie, I think if you look around the chamber, you'll see that I'm in the chair and I make those decisions. Minister Wong.
I'd ask you to consider, President, whether that question is in order as a supplementary question to the primary which was made.
Thank you. It was a tenuous link, but we'll give Minister Ayres the opportunity to answer that question.
I'm tempted to spend a bit of time on tenuous links, President, but the point here is, as Senator Canavan pointed out, at the end of the miserable period of the Morrison, Abbott and Turnbull governments that did so much damage to Australia's electricity system, electricity prices had risen by 91%. And because of that disinvestment that occurred, 4 gigawatts out, only 1 gigawatt back in, the Snowy 2.0 that started at $2 billion, now it's 12 because of their mismanagement, then electricity prices for ordinary Australians are higher than we would like. That's true. There is a consequence. Your self-indulgence, your incapacity means that real Australians pay. You wrecked the electricity system. We are building a new electricity system. You wrecked it. Ordinary Australians pay.
Thank you, Minister. The time for answering has expired. Senator Stewart.
Thank you, President. My question is to the Minister for Indigenous Australians, Senator McCarthy. This month marked the Albanese Labor government delivering on its commitment to abolish the failed Community Development Program with the new Remote Australia Employment Service. How will this new service better support people in remote communities to build skills, find work and participate in their local economies?
Thank you, Senator Stewart. Minister McCarthy.
Thank you, President, and I thank Senator Stewart for the question and for her work in the area of economic empowerment for First Nations people, and in particular her artwork on her Christmas card, by the way. On November the 1st, the Albanese Labor government delivered on its commitment to abolish the failed Community Development Program and to replace it with the new Remote Australia Employment Service, or RAISE. For years, President, remote communities were very clear. The CDP was not working and it focused on compliance rather than opportunity, and it did not deliver the real jobs, training or pathways people asked for. RAISE is changing that. It will provide tailored support to around 40,000 participants across 1,200 remote communities. It will help people build the skills they need to become job-ready, to move into work when it's available, and crucially stay in work through greater access to mentoring and ongoing support. Where the job market is limited in these communities, RAISE providers will engage participants in local community projects that build practical skills and confidence. At least 25% of provider funding will be invested directly into these projects, giving communities the flexibility to design solutions that meet their own employment needs. This is about shifting from a top-down model to genuine partnership. We've already seen the impact through job trials that informed the design of RAISE. In Galawinku, just one example, the Mialk Kitchen has supported 28 Yolngu people to build a thriving community enterprise, creating pathways to long-term employment and even supporting faster delivery of housing projects in the region.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Stewart, first supplementary.
Thank you for that update, Minister. The Remote Australia Employment Service is a major new investment in remote Australia. How will the Remote Australia Employment Service work alongside the government's Remote Jobs and Economic Development program to create real jobs in remote communities?
Minister McCarthy.
Thank you, President. Well, senators will be very familiar with the catchphrase that I've been speaking about, and that is jobs, jobs, jobs in our remote communities. So while RAISE is an employment service that provides skills, training and activities to get people job ready, we know the reality in some of our remote communities is that their job market is limited. So that's why we're delivering on our commitment to creating 3,000 jobs in remote communities under our Remote Jobs and Economic Development program. And that program, RGED, is currently rolling out. And these are real jobs that provide the dignity of work with proper pay and conditions like sick leave, annual leave and superannuation. And these jobs are rolling out in communities in industries like health, education, tourism, land management and cultural services.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Stewart, second supplementary.
Thank you, President. Australians in remote communities deserve a government that delivers appropriate services and employment opportunities. How is the Albanese Labor government delivering jobs in remote communities and making a real difference to empower Australians living in the bush?
Thank you, Senator Stewart. Minister McCarthy.
President, when we develop policies for remote communities, and I do want to ensure that it's done in a way that does maximise that catchphrase of jobs, jobs, jobs. So two examples of this are Indigenous ranges and food security. So both of these policies are creating even more jobs. On top of our commitment to 3,000 remote jobs, Rangers, last week I announced 900 new ranger jobs on top of that, and it will be created in the latest round of funding as this government continues on the path to deliver on our commitment to double the ranger workforce by the end of the decade. On food security, we're also delivering a new nutrition workforce in remote communities with over 100 locally employed positions in remote stores, and these roles will provide culturally appropriate nutrition support delivered by local people in local languages, improving health outcomes while creating new employment pathways.
Senator Wong.
I ask that further questions be placed on notice.